We call it people technology.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant from Gaikwad. What a good day and what a good time to be a fan of the Chennai Super Kings. We spent quite a lot of time discussing how hard batting was in the afternoon game at Sharjah, but Ruturaj Gaikwad has smashed the first 100 of the second leg of the IPL. CSK have smashed the highest score batting first in the second leg of the IPL. On Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Riggin for T20 timeout. Carlos Brathwaite with the kind of T20 innings he enjoys more than the 120s that he's forced to watch at 5 a.m. in Barbados. And Deep Dasgupta joins us as well. He was observing a tough game to bat in the afternoon at Sharjah too. Carlos, that was fun, wasn't it?
Oh man, that was sensational. Um, you're just on the edge of your seat, hoping he gets the 100. Ravi Jadeja does what he does best, keep us sweating for a couple balls, and then he goes down on one knee, like just stand up and smack it, and he does it next ball, fitting way to reach a maiden century, man. So happy for him.
That's it. You just feel a sense of happiness when not just any batter gets 100, but someone like Ruturaj Gaikwad gets 100 deep. We enjoy watching the likes of Carlos Brathwaite, the big, strong, tall six hitters get big scores. But when little Ruturaj Gaikwad does it, it just gives you a different sense of joy.
It just gives you a hope, I guess, hope for people who aren't as big as Carlos. So I guess it just tells you that, you know what, this format is not just for power hitters. If you have the right technique and if you know your game well enough, there are different ways of being successful in this format. And I think Ruturaj, and more so because if you look at Ruturaj and the shots that he played, they are very orthodox cricketing shots. I guess success to players or batters like Rituraj is that much more important because when you go to these coaching camps and you look at youngsters, they're trying all these fancy shots, the lap and the reverse lap and all, and then you see someone like Rituraj is like, you know what, this is how you should be playing, because this would make sure that you are not only successful in T20 but the other two formats as well. And I'm so happy for Rituraj, because again, orthodox cricketing shots more often than not.
Even on the better batting surfaces of this leg of the IPL, Deep, we have still seen the Rahuls and the Rohits and the Virat Kohlis, even Sanju Samson, not play this template of innings which they've played in the past. Open the
Yeah.
innings, carry the bat through, score 100, take their team to an above par score. This is something unique we're seeing from Ruturaj Gaikwad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so true. And you know what, when you have these pitches which are not 180, 200, so there's an element of batting skills which you need, a different set of skills. Not just, I mean, 180, 200 obviously needs its own set of skills, but 140, 160 has a little different skill set requirements as far as as far as batting is concerned. And I think that is a little more old school in how you approach an innings. It might not be the modern way of playing this format T20, where where you go right from ball one all the way down to the last ball of the innings. It's more like more calculative, more tactical, strategic, picking the right bowlers, the right ends. So I one of the reasons I like these 150, 60 games is that I think there's a lot more. It can get a little more cerebral than maybe a 180, 200 game.
And to think, you can see the confidence flowing in little Rituraj Gaikwad's body. And I say little in comparison to Carlos Brathwaite again. But there are no big angry slogs against the spinners, which the likes of Rohit and Kohli also tend to. They go after them, right? They want to go after them. You could see a batter in complete control of his game, Carlos. He took on Rashid Khan stepping out in the last game. He's hitting the leg spinners over cover for four in gaps. Suddenly you just think, not a shot in anger, and he's ended up with a 60 ball 100 and a strike rate of nearly 170.
Yeah, but I mean, what was impressive is that I think his first 30 balls, he was 30. So going at a runner ball, even just in and outside the power play, but then the confidence in your ability to step your game up. And we would have mentioned it on the show before. This track is a lot better than Sharjah, so you have to give them that. But the same approach, you approach the game in such that you want to get to 150, 155, and then at the back end, and you get a cameo like Ravindra Jadeja give you, or you get a Ruturaj Gaikwad going on and get to 100 instead of getting out for 50 or 40, you then have the capacity to get to 180, 190. But it seemed as though it was a well calculated innings by CSK, obviously chucking Suresh Raina at the top try to get him some balls. But other than that, it seemed as though everyone had a game plan going in to continue to maximize the part of the
Hmm.
game that they went into bat. Moeen Ali did the same thing. Bati Radu tried, didn't succeed, and then you culminate it with Ravindra Dejeda, and it was
Yeah,
easier for them because Ruturaj Gaikwad right-handed, the left-handers coming in, so it meant that you couldn't simply bowl at one or the other. And the way that he changed gears, and we talk about tempo a lot with batting, he always has intent, but you can see the intent step up from just trying to score and minimize dot balls to all of a sudden trying to get boundaries. And the way he does it with such poise and such grace is a
Mhm.
pleasure to watch, and he'd be a hope for a lot of stroke players around the country.
absolutely. It's a good time, and I just tweeted this too, Deep, to remember that this IPL, although it started a lifetime back, Gaikwad started in Mumbai in batting friendly conditions with scores of 5, 5, and 10. And
Yeah,
since then, Stephen Fleming was asked in a press conference, you're going to look for a change. He says, no, we're just going to back our
yeah.
players. This is something special. Since then, I'm just going to read out his scores. He's got scores of 64, 33, 75, 4, 88 not out, 38, 40, 45, and 101 not out today.
So
This is something
his
special
lowest
about
is
him.
33 then. His lowest
His
is
lowest is
33.
1-4 that he picked
Oh,
up in the middle. But that's all right. That's the only single digit score. And the point is taken. It's one thing that he's played so well. This is a team that gives you the best possible chance to play this way, doesn't it?
absolutely, yes. It gives you that freedom. When we talk about freedom and fearlessness. These words, brave cricket and all, quite a bit in this format. I think for that to happen, you need the selectors or the captain or the coaches to be consistent in their philosophy, in their policies, in selection, and that's how it filters down to a player. If a player is dropped, for example, I was a little surprised not to see Prasid after that 22 run over the next game. Suddenly you're like, I don't know why though. I hope it's not because he got hit for 22. I'm just giving an example. I mean, if based on one innings you're going to start making selection calls, it becomes very, very difficult for an individual to start playing freely and expressing themselves that we keep talking about in this format. And listen, the reason behind CSK and MI's success over the years has been consistency. Look at MI, look at CSK, two most successful franchises in franchise cricket, and look at their template. And it's very, very simple. It's just consistency with their philosophy, their selection, and the players.
You know this, Carlos. It tends to happen more to the international players in the IPL. You probably have chance. If you don't get it right, one chance, every chance will be shuffled around. It happens to a lot of the young Indian uncapped players too, which Ruturaj Gaikwad is one. But then again, this is where the culture of CSK stands out.
And that's the point that I made earlier about the franchises that aren't as successful or haven't been as successful as a CSK or a Mumbai. Um, it feels like lip service when someone comes and says, "Oh, we'll back you or we'll support you," but you can
Mm.
actively see that the person you're replacing got one game. Probably your mate who bats higher or as a bowler or a spinner got one game. It sort of feels like they're just doing or saying what they want to say to make you feel good. But when you can actively see you've been out of the team for 5 or 6 games, someone else who's struggled and been flittering with form, but not quite coming off, and the message is when you get your chance, we'll back you. Then I don't want to say you work harder because as a professional, you work hard as you can day in, day out to try to get better. But there's just that little bit more confidence instilled knowing that you have seen the franchise back another player and that the language coming from the coach and the staff is that you'll be backed as well. You feel as though you could go and play with that freedom and that fearlessness. You always talk about as a batsman, don't think about getting out because you'll get out regardless. But if you're fearing for your play, you don't want to get out, and then you make stupid decisions that you probably would not make if you had a clear mind. So, is a testament to the confidence, the support, the stability that the franchises that are successful have had. that players can come in seemingly from out of nowhere and continue to perform and put up good numbers to continue to aid in the success of these franchises as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I've seen massively improved players in CSK. Yes, they're at the right end of the points table, but you could see the improvement, the confidence in every innings. And Ruturaj Gaikwad can also thank Ravindra Jadeja for a large part of that innings. We're wondering if a big finish would come or not, or would CSK end about 160, 170 for two or three and not get that push? But Ravindra Jadeja, Deep, looks like the finished product as a finisher now, almost the
Yes.
specialist sort of role that we've seen very few do successfully in the past.
Absolutely. I think he is the finished product. I think this is the best that I've seen Jadeja. I'm not based on this innings, but the way he's been playing for last year and a half now across all formats. I think he's there. He's there at his best as at this point in time, both with the ball, bat, and obviously on the field. Quickly about Rituraj as well, if I may add. If you look at the reason why he's going to be consistent and why he's going to be really good is again the way he bats. Right? If you look at two most successful kind of bowlers in T20 cricket are leg spinners and left arm seamers. Both of them, if you have the ability to hit over covers and extra cover, which Ruturaj does very, very well, suddenly you are a different kind of a player in T20 cricket. If you're only looking at mid wicket square leg, again, where he's very good, he plays the sweep well. Over the years, playing in the domestic cricket, he reads the spinners really well. He uses his feet and all. But most importantly, he can play over cover, extra cover. He's not only on side when he's looking for big shots. Actually, he's more comfortable playing over extra cover than over mid wicket.
Yep, absolutely. Thrilled for Ruturaj Gaikwad. Ravindra Jadeja, though, Carlos, you like what you're seeing of him? The hardest, thankless job in T20 cricket to come with few balls left and have an impact more often than not. I'd love for you to even compare how he's doing with, say, those that we consider specialists for the job. Hardik Pandya's having a tough time of it. Kyron Pollard's having a tough time of it. Russell is not what we used to. So Jadeja's getting right up there in terms of the finishers in T20 cricket in the IPL.
Yeah, I think what he's also showing you as well is that you don't have to hit massive sixes to be a good finisher. So you can get the 32 or 15 by hitting four sixes and batting a few dots or whatever, or you could get a 32 or 15 by hitting a few boundaries, sprinkling a couple singles and twos in between, and essentially not wasting deliveries. And I think that's what the best in the world are good at. When Russell does it, when Pollard does it, they get to 50, 40. They use as little balls as possible. And I think that's what Jadeja is doing. Obviously, he doesn't have the big hits like they have. So when they'll be hitting sixes, he'll be hitting fours. But I think what he does a little bit better than they do would be to maximize every single ball. So sometimes where they may fall short with a dot here and there, or a long single to long off or long on if it isn't in their zone, he may be able to break the wrist and get a two just wide of long off. So you can play similar roles but in different fashions. And he's proving that he can do it and he can be successful. And on the Ruturaj Gaikwad point, there are a lot of batters, Indian batters in the IPL playing this and can roll this bat long innings. But we can see how much pressure Jadeja took off him. So for someone like KL Rahul, the debate, I guess, would be never ending. If he had Ravindra Jadeja coming out and doing what he's done today consistently, then maybe KL Rahul will look a little better. And maybe can have the propensity to bat a few more balls up the strike rate as Gaikwad did in the back end. But if you don't have that finisher, all of a sudden that conversation that you would have mentioned about being only 165, 170, but only two or three down, then all of a sudden you're 18, 90, it looks quote unquote selfish and not playing for the team. Whereas if you have someone coming in, all of a sudden
Yeah.
you look like a superstar. That was a superstar, not but
Yeah, absolutely. Vitamin points indeed. The fact that they had just make sure that score goes a long way in the score that they've got, and can't stop talking about Ruturaj Gaikwad, can we? Let's leave this here then, and it seems like CSK have got an above par score, certainly the highest score this leg of the IPL. Carlos Brathwaite, enough to register a win, or do you see Rajasthan pulling up what we have to consider an upset now?
Now, CSK all the way, unless Evan Lewis gets 80, 90, or 100, which should be quicker than Gaikwad's. I can't see Rajasthan chasing it down. There are a lot of uncomfortable middle order positions up for grabs. I don't think that would allow any of those players to come out there and be fully expressive without worrying about the position in the team. So CSK.
Deep?
CSK.
Yeah, easy, as simple as that. It's a fascinating conversation we can line up at the end of this game. Thank you to Carlos Brathwaite and Deep Dasgupta. But we could perhaps look at the informed Indian batters and finishers, where Jadeja's places among those. Have a great conversation on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 time. Or if Rajasthan get even close to this target, should be a heck of a game. So let's pick up the chat at the end of it.
We call it people technology.